let's start to differentiate the difference, right? Like there's tagging and there's graffiti, and some of these kids that are doing graffiti really are talented, but there's just no opportunity for them to really
And let's get ready. Let's go. And welcome back to Cool Media TV, another interview series. And today we have something different, that we haven't had before. Somebody that works for the public, works for the city, District 6, from the A1A Valley. I want to welcome Imelda Padilla. And
welcome.
I'm over here cussing.
Thank you.
Sure, let's get started, okay? Let's get it. So where you from? How did you get to where you're at right now? But start out, where you from?
Where am I from?
Professionally, where are you from?
Check out your socks. Your socks.
No socks today.
Sock check.
No socks today. I'm coming. I came here directly from City of Los Angeles City Hall.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm the representative for Council District 6, 818. I was born in Van Nuys, but I was raised in Sun Valley. Those are two communities, part of the larger San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
In the city of LA, there's about 4 or 5 council districts because there's 15.
Okay.
In the valley is Council District 6, 7, 2, 12, and 3, and a little bit of 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a good chunk of us. And I represent 6, which has the communities of Sun Valley, Arleta, Panorama City, Van Nuys, Lake Balboa. And I have a really small area of North Hollywood and North Hills. But again, born and raised in Sun Valley, but born in Van Nuys. So I'm representing an area that I know very well.
Nice.
I have a lot of friends and family, and really proud and glad that voters trusted me enough to be their leader.
Nice. And your last name is Padilla, so can we know where your lineage stems from? Like your family, where do they come from?
Yeah. So Padilla is my father's last name.
Okay.
So my father is from San Juan de los Lagos, Jalisco.
Ooh, Jalisco.
Yeah, Jalisco.
I love that already.
Los Altos? Los Altos,
Okay,
exactly. The town of Los Altos. San Juan de los Lagos, Arriba la Virgen.
Oh, yeah.
But he met my mom in Sun Valley, California at church. My mom is from a town known as Atenguillo, Jalisco.
Okay.
Very close to Talpa.
Okay.
So,
So they're both Jalisco.
They're both Jalisco.
Oh, shit.
and
It
both
explains
have-
the skin color for sure. Like,
I guess. Yeah. But from both sides, a lot of devotion to La Virgen. La Virgen de Talpa, La Virgen San Juan. I grew up with a lot of that.
Same in my household. My grandfather is from Jalisco, Guadalajara. Same thing. La Virgen has been like a big thing there as well. Like, I don't know, it's trippy. But let us know your upbringing. How was it growing up in the A1A Valley? And what makes the valley different from the rest of LA County?
It's a good question. I think there's I did a lot of my schooling in the valley, right? I went to my local schools.
Yeah.
I did the traditional feeder pattern, right? Like my parents didn't know better. So I went to my local school. I graduated from Roscoe Elementary. And then I did have older siblings that were following what was going on in education. So my older sisters, by the time it was time for me to go to middle school, they're like, there's this new thing called the magnet.
Yeah.
So you're going to go to Bird Magnet. And then I fed into my traditional high school to the feeder pattern of Polytechnic Magnet. And, as I did my career, I absolutely noticed when I went to college and also met people that were outside of the valley that people don't really know what the San Fernando Valley is.
Yeah.
But, I don't think we're much different than any other community. We have a lot of small businesses. My district where I grew up, we have a big industrial corridor. So I have a community where a lot of people will work as trash haulers, right? Or they'll work in concrete recycling, or they'll work in auto dismantling. So, it's a place where there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of homes, a lot of density, especially now compared to when I was growing up, a lot more apartments. But the more I
Oh,
meet
the
folks,
TikTokers are moving out there for sure.
I'm sorry?
Oh, the TikTokers are moving out there for sure.
I guess all TikTokers want to go live in.
All the social media people are living over there.
Yeah, I guess they're living in North Hollywood,
Yeah, they
right?
are.
Next to the NoHo Arts District. But I remember when NoHo Arts District was a NoHo Arts District. It used to be the original suburb of Los Angeles. But I don't think we're very much different than your communities like South Central or Metro or like Boyle Heights. Families that go to work, people that want safe streets, clean streets.
Yeah.
They like to go to church. They like to eat at their local restaurants down the street. I love my community. I stay in touch with a lot of people that I grew up with. And if I wouldn't be that, I don't think I would have become their local leader in time.
And even in politics, like, what did you ever want to do this when growing up, or like that came in like in later timing as you were?
I'm glad you asked me that. Yeah, so so I was actually a kid that used to get picked on a lot.
Okay.
I have a very funny walk, and I used to get picked on. So I used to fight with a lot of the kids that would pick on me.
You're the chola at one time.
Maybe. But I had really good teachers and really good counselors that would tell me like, all right, like we gotta use that bad energy for something positive. So they always kind of moved me, even as early as in elementary, into positions of leadership, right? Like, all right, you're gonna go to the troublemakers kids class and you're gonna tutor them on their reading, or you're gonna sit in the principal's office and you're going to help us organize these files. So like in elementary, I had a lot of good mentors that kind of guided me to using my anger to something positive.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with teachers and mentors. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be either a teacher, eventually a lawyer, or I wanted to be a writer. The first time I ever read The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, I wanted to be a writer. And I tell people that, like, I'm not giving up on my dream to be a teacher. I hope to, the last years of me being in the workforce, I hope to maybe someday be a community college professor.
Okay.
That's the way I want to teach, right?
Yeah.
To me,
no kids on.
it's not that I have anything against kids, but like the community college system, to me, if I have a student that like is, that 14-year-old who's taking the extra classes because they want to graduate early from college, that's going to probably like make some kind of big revolutionary thing happen in science in my classroom.
Yeah.
With somebody who like maybe just got out of jail and is trying to redo their life, or someone who's trying to do a career change, that diversity in the classroom fascinates me.
Okay.
So I love the community college system and I want to teach in it. I know that I thrive in diverse settings, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not giving up on, I will teach someday. And then when it comes to being a lawyer, the way I kind of see it is maybe I'm not in the halls of the courts pushing for laws, but instead now I'm in the legislature creating policies that make laws that shape the way people live. And then when it comes to being a writer, well, I now use reading and writing as my escape when it comes to unwinding from the stress of what my current job is now.
Yeah.
So,
What's one of the hardest things, like stepping into this type of career for you?
The hardest thing stepping into this, well, becoming an elected leader, you are pretty much, you pretty much belong to your community.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's and mind you, there's like different levels, right? So being a city council member, the things that you're in charge of are literally the things that affect everyone. Like no one can get away from the things that your city council member is in charge of, right? As soon as you wake up and you flick the lights, you turn on the water faucet, that's the Department of Water and Power. Your city leader has that jurisdiction. As soon as you drive down the roads, streets, sidewalks, that's the city, right? You have an emergency and you call 911, police, that's the city. So the hardest part is that you have to remember that you impact everyone, regardless of whether it's someone who is consistently calling you for something or not. The decisions that you make impact everyone. But I kind of knew that going into this. But at the same time, though, one of the things that was very important to me when I decided to run for this position was to not just focus on the things that cause stressful situations related to our quality of life, right? Like, do we have the running water, right? Like, are the sidewalks clean?
Yeah.
But also, I'm very intentional about making sure that I work with my libraries and my parks, and that my libraries and my parks know that if they ever needed something, they should call the council office, because in a place like the city of Los Angeles, there's some communities where constituents call their leader every day, every single day, right? So that's why some communities in LA look better than others.
Okay.
Because there's people that live in those areas that know how to call their leaders and say, I don't like it that my park doesn't have enough shade. So that leader will fight for the shade. So with me, when I came in, I was very intentional about telling all of my park directors, if you need new bleachers, you got to tell me. If you need new equipment for a sports team, you got to tell me.
So for things like that, like if a park or locals wanna escalate a concern, would they go directly to you, like to the council person, or or is there like a hierarchy? Like let's reach out to the neighborhood council first, and then maybe this person, and then lastly, the council person. What's the hierarchy for that, or what's the
Man, that's a great question.
what's the direction a person can take to get things done?
That's a great question. And I'm glad you brought up the neighborhood councils, because not a lot of people in LA know that we even have that model. The neighborhood council is something that it's a model that came to the city of Los Angeles when I was in high school. The San Fernando Valley and Hollywood, they wanted to leave the city of LA. There was a whole secession movement because people from Hollywood and people from the Valley felt like they weren't getting their voices heard. But instead of secession, well, it failed at the ballot. But a way to kind of fix that, to make sure that people from the Valley and Hollywood didn't feel like they were getting ignored from downtown City Hall, was they created the neighborhood council. So yes, the neighborhood council is absolutely a place to elevate an issue or something that you want, because one of the things that I appreciate about our neighborhood council is that even though it was formed by the city of LA, you have your senators, your assembly members, your federal people, and your county people. They tend to send a representative. So if you, as a constituent, go there and you talk about whatever is your issue, you have all your representatives there to say, oh, this person's complaining about something on the freeway. I'm the state. I will take that issue. Oh, someone is complaining about the park. I'm the city. That is my issue. Someone came here and talked about a thing related to their food stamps. I'm the county. That's my issue, right? Because at the end of the day, as a council office, because we are the office that people tend to call most often, sometimes a big part of my team's job is to sometimes tell folks, we heard you loud and clear, but you know what? That's actually your state leader. That's your county leader. That's your federal leader. But the neighborhood councils,
They have them all.
man, that's really where people can all just kind of congregate once a month. And I really like them as a model. I have a very good relationship with mine. I actually am very intentional to make sure that I go visit them at least once to twice a year.
Yeah.
And also once or twice a year. Again, I represent 5 communities and a little bit of North Hollywood, a little bit of North Hills. So that's technically 7.
Yeah.
I go to all 7 neighborhood councils at least once a year and partner with them at least once a year. Like, we're going to do a cleanup today. We're going to clean up together. We're going to do a health fair together. So I'm glad you know what they are.
No, yeah, I
Pretty
did.
impressed.
Going for office soon or what?
No, I met someone that's in the neighborhood council,
Which
president,
one? Tell me the formal name.
Central Alameda, I think.
Central Alameda. Okay.
Yeah, Central Alameda, and they taught me like everything that I need to know. And another, I guess, good resource for that is that as a small business, you're able to go into those meetings and kind of pitch your service and help the community, and like that way they don't hire from like outside, or if it's something that your business can fix or like do for the community, pitch it to them, and if it votes in, then I guess you get paid by the city as a small business to do a service for your community or like whatsoever. So I think that was really dope. And
Yeah, neighborhood councils are a great entryway to find out about the bigger macro things we have at the city. So it almost sounds like they recruited you to apply for what's called a neighborhood purpose grant.
exactly.
They funded you to do a service. And I'm hoping that after that, they also taught you how to get on the city of Los Angeles's LA ramp database. So that whenever the city needs your services, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, your neighborhood councils
definitely.
are a good entryway to do anything city of LA.
What's the most
yeah.
common call you guys get? Like, what's the biggest complaint?
I would say it's well, people don't like their streets being a mess.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of calls directly related to trash, bulky items. But tied to that is also people being very upset, obviously, with everything related to the homeless crisis.
Yeah.
Right? People wanting to know when we're gonna, what is the who, what, when, where, and how, to what we're gonna do related to an encampment that happens to be in front of their favorite business,
Yeah.
in front of or at their park. So we get a lot of those calls. And every call that we get, my team, what we do is we case manage to the solution.
Yeah.
So everything is just very unique. And we try to unpackage it, right? Because if it's just a bulky item, we report it to the department. If it's simple trash, I have something called the strike team. But if it's an encampment, well, then that's a whole, I could talk to you guys
Yeah,
about
that's
that all day, every day.
yeah, because even with the homeless issue, from my point of view, there's like a lot of money that is being thrown at that issue. But even the things that they build, like it doesn't even like affect us, not even 10% of the issue. It just like goes to just money being spent on things that never really like help the community. And even like in the North Hollywood area, I have friends that live there, and then they do complain about the homeless issue. But I just feel like it is a complex issue. And I feel like we should have more of the community involved, and meaning like the way they spend those billions of dollars. Because sometimes they'll spend billions of dollars on a building that could only house like 100 people, which with that money you could have made 100 houses, and then would have helped way more of the community that way. But yeah, that's like that's the biggest thing you guys deal with.
Yeah, and you said the key word, right? When it comes to homelessness, it's complex.
Very complex.
But you also brought up something that is also very real, which is the association of the homeless crisis with money.
Yeah.
Now, when I talk to my constituents about what's going on with the homeless crisis, I thank them. We have to think at this moment in time, at this moment in history. I always say it took us 10 years, a whole generation, to get to the homeless crisis that Angelinos of today are seeing and experiencing. It took time to get to this. It didn't always look like this. So it's also going to take us time to clean it up.
Yeah.
However, we got to thank the residents and the voters for choosing to tax themselves to fix it, right? So I've always said, now that our constituents have given us the funds to fix it, that's where the real work starts. So for example, with me, I'm a community organizer by trade, right? My entire career was post-college. Well, it was in college where I learned how to be an organizer through an internship at SCIU. I learned how to be an organizer with them in Houston, Texas, with the Justice for Janitors campaign in Texas, in Oiltown, Houston, Texas. So when I came to my community, my first job out of college was being an organizer with the environmental sector And then I got a job being an organizer with economic justice sector with an organization called Lane. The environmental was with Pacoima Beautiful. By the time I became a elected official, I was like, I'm going to use my community organizing skills to really unpackage this. So there's a few things that I now do when it comes to the homeless crisis. If you're getting money to clean up and do services in my area, you best bet on a bi-monthly basis, all those organizations are coming to me with my team, and I ask them, what are your numbers?
Yeah.
How many people did you feed? How many people did you did you talk to? How many people did you actually sit down with and make them what we refer to as paper ready? Man, that is a whole institution in itself, someone being paper ready. Because what the process is, like, you're on the streets, and then the last goal, the final goal, is to get them into permanent supportive housing, more famously known as like a Section 8 apartment, right? So yes, we had a whole generation of leaders that didn't build Section 8, even though we knew that we needed it. So we had like a gap where we just didn't build it. So a lot of people are on the street. Now, you live on the street, you also fall into other negative habits, right?
Yeah.
Like, the inability to cure your mental health issues, right? Your inability to find a job, right? The lack of stable housing causes more people to continue to be into generational homelessness. So when these service providers come to my table, I ask them for their numbers because, I mean, you guys are probably following, right? Like right now, we're in a generation where the county is saying we're done with this agency called LASA. The city of Los Angeles we're in debates about what we do, right? And I think this is the year where we're going to finally decide what we do with LASA. But there's a general consensus that for a long time, LASA was broken, right? Because, one, we didn't build enough permanent, affordable housing for many years. And now the city and the county are debating, well, what are we going to do in the interim to get them off the street before we get them into something permanent? So I know, like, for my area, by also having this bi-monthly meeting where I'm talking to the people that actually service these guys, not only am I keeping them accountable on their funding and their numbers and what they're actually doing, but I'm very real and very intentional about, like, okay, if we know what the solutions are, then let's do them. So I am building permanent supportive housing in my district. We just approved $17 million of ULA money to build 200 units in Sun Valley, right? We just celebrated the grand opening of another 200 units on Panorama City and Landmark. So the permanent stuff, I'm on it. But my goodness, is it a very difficult conversation that doesn't always make your residents very happy when you do things like build tiny homes or work with a motel or a hotel to host people in what is called interim housing, where we tell them, so do you have your paperwork together? Do you need help with drug cessation? Do you need help with mental health? Do you need to get your documents in line? Not everybody is ready to immediately go into an apartment. If they're dealing with mental health or drug issues, they're probably going to destroy that apartment.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's why it's important to, like, also build out the interim. So I like to pride myself as a council member that's working on all of the components.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not brave enough to even talk to the folks that don't want that in their backyard to say, I need this.
Yeah.
I need these tiny homes. Or what do you prefer? You want people to keep living under the bridge? You want people to keep living in RVs and messing up the places where people work? And another thing too is, because I have an industrial corridor, I had a big RV issue.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest issues.
Imagine.
I hate when I see RVs. It irks me.
Me too.
Like even where I used to live at, it was like the block that I lived at in South LA. It's a very family block, and then they show up and they do fuck up the community. They do, because random people are showing up. It creates a hub of like drugs and party, and like me and my cousins were going through some issues with people that were living there, and it got to the point where it turned into violence because rightfully so. You don't want people that are just drinking in the RV, just chilling. Yeah, I get it. They're homeless. But it's like we're also giving them a space so they could just party.
Well, yeah, and see, and that was one of the things that I learned
Yeah.
from my service providers that meet with my office on a bi-monthly basis. Some people that live in RVs don't consider themselves homeless. They really don't. And then that's an issue because it's like, well, how do I get you into the permanent apartment if you don't even identify as homeless? But I'm sorry, but you hanging out on the sidewalk, parking wherever you want, and then taking up the sidewalk and, turning the curve into your like mini garden,
Yeah.
your mini hangout spot. It wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
The RV issue is very grand in mainly two locations of my district. One is in the industrial corridor of Sun Valley, and then in the Sepulveda Basin of Lake Balboa. Now, Sepulveda Basin is one of the bigger green spaces in the San Fernando Valley. And mind you, like as we're building out more density, the way I see it is like for the families or the seniors or the kids that are growing up in apartments, I'm sorry, but I need to protect my parks because those kids don't have a front yard or a backyard.
Right.
So one of my most proudest moments so far in this role has been when I completely cleaned up a little mini pocket park called Tobias.
Yeah.
That was completely run down by
It
homeless.
turned into what's it called? A resort for homeless.
It really was. It really was. Yeah. And, we cleaned it up and now the families are back. And these are families that, again, they live in condos or they live in, apartments or ADUs. They don't have that front yard, backyard. So I have to protect it. Yeah. And to me, the Sepulveda Basin is a huge, big, beautiful yard that they shouldn't have to go see people living there and with their trash. And then when I was talking to a lot of the business owners where there's a lot of RVs, I had a lot of business owners tell me, I can't hire women anymore because the women are not going to park and near all of these encampments or these RVs. So, I also, it's been a difficult thing for our LAPD to work with LADOT and handle the RVs because technically when you
It's like
impound them, that's the word I was looking for, impound. When you impound them, you have to store them before you just, and like when you impound the car, you have so many different things you could recycle. That's not the case with an RV. So the people that hold them have no incentive to hold them. It's just a waste of money for them. So one of the things that I had to do in order to help LAPD and LADOT to also increase RV removal in my district was I had to have a lot where they could be stored. Also, another thing that the neighborhood didn't want to see in their backyard. So it's a real big battle as we try to address homelessness and having conversations with our communities of like, we have to do something related to getting them off the street and figuring out where they go until we can figure out how to make sure that they're ready to have that steady life in a steady permanent Section 8 permanent supportive housing apartment.
It's like you get a bunch of calls with like complaints and like do this, do that. Do you ever get calls with like, hey, thank you for like doing this? Like,
That's so true.
Things change. Like,
yeah,
do you get those? Because I feel like
do.
your role or like the role of like council person is always, you did this bad, or like, hey, fix this, fix that. But do you ever get a call like, hey, thank you for this, like, thank you for bringing this up to the community?
Yeah, I definitely do see a lot of gratitude. My favorite moments of gratitude, we get emails, we get the Instagram messages where people say, thank you for hosting this event. I loved it, nice. Or your team has been great. I haven't had a response for this in years and you guys finally took care of it. There's definitely a lot of gratitude. And that's especially... Good, yeah, and like my favorite moments of gratitude are always around the holidays because we do a turkey drive.
Toy drives, turkey
do a
drives,
toy drive. and we also do a Dia de los Muertos event.
Nice.
And nothing beats the smile on kids' faces when we like give them a bike.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, like if your parents can't afford it, but you go to your local park and you got a soccer ball, you got a
Just
a
random
bike.
toys. Yeah, a toy in general, like it'll bring kids, just make them happy.
Yeah, and I do my toy drive is we run it in a way where like we separate the parents from the kids. So the parents could watch the kids, but the kids get to choose every toy they want.
Nice.
When you tell kids get whatever you want, you'd be surprised they don't choose 10, 20 gifts. Kids are more humble in their heart than you
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
realize.
definitely. I've seen that.
That's true.
They'll
But
go for a
just-
simple ball. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, the simplicity of being able to just choose. And my mom and my dad are over there. The gratitude on their faces.
It's crazy.
I mean, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
What's your like? So after like a stressful day, like what's your go-to to just chill off and like relax and get that stress off?
Well, for me,
'Cause
I'm
just
a
like hearing you, it's like, oh, I'm stressed already. I'm like, man,
It
there's
seems
all
like
these
a
things
s-
to
a
do
tense job.
and complaints. Like, what's your stress-free day? Like, what's your de-stress?
well, I already mentioned that I like to read, right? Like if I can just not look at my phone and read for a good hour or two, I'm completely recharged. I'm a big walker. I like to go to the Sepulveda Basin and take, about a 30 to 1 hour walk.
Any run clubs? You
Any
do,
what?
Like run clubs?
Oh,
like
I'm
walk
never going to
clubs?
run.
No?
No,
Okay.
I'm not a runner. I have metal in my knees. So I'm not going to run. But I like walking. I could walk for hours. But, music is also really good too.
What kind of music? Let's hear. What have you been bumping? What do you bump?
Well, I will say, I'm from the LimeWire generation.
Okay.
You remember LimeWire?
Yeah.
So I like to keep my I like my playlist random.
Okay.
Cool.
If I have 4 songs from the same genre play, I get equally irritated.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's enough reggaeton for now.
Yeah.
That's enough cumbia for now. That's enough, right?
Yeah.
Like I like my stuff random. But I my mom was a singer. That's actually
Okay.
my
That's
dad
fire.
actually fell in love with her when she would sing at the church. She was like the local celebrity. So I grew up listening to everything from like classic rock to hip hop to rap to banda, norteño, cumbia. I like all of that. Old school salsa, Celia Cruz.
Yeah.
And there's just some, like, I have a playlist that like I just have to hear that reminds me. Songs that are like, you got this.
The motivational ones, I guess.
I could listen to like Journey's Don't Stop Believing and just be motivated for a whole month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a little bit of everything. So music, walking, reading, just surrounding myself with positive people. That's kind of how I de-stress. But in terms of getting re-inspired, I say this every time I go to like a neighborhood watch and people are like yelling and complaining. I tell them, I was like, you know what, believe it or not, as angry as you guys are, telling me about your parking issues,
Yeah.
telling me about your trash issues, this is my favorite part of the job. I'd rather hang out with the people of the community any day versus the part of the job that requires, that I have a really high level conversation related to policy.
Yeah.
So that really it motivates me. I'm always down to go to my neighborhood folks.
Do you feel like let's say other council members, should they live in the neighborhoods that they represent?
I think
How
some
do
of
you feel about that?
I think some of my council colleagues do it more than others.
Yeah.
You
I think it's very important to like have a sense, at least have a sense of your daily lives, not just like, I live in Encino, but I over here manage Pacoima.
And that actually was going to be my question too. Like, how did you manage to get the place where you grew up at? You know what I mean? To be able to take care of that community, because I feel like that's where your passion comes from. You know what I mean? Because you are aware of the problems that are there, so you want to fix those for your community.
No, yeah, and it's I'll always say that I'm really grateful for my high school helping me get into my dream school. Right, I graduated from Polytechnic High School, go Parrots, but Poly helped me get into my dream school, which was UC Berkeley. Now, I didn't know UC Berkeley existed until this one time when I visited my madrina who lived in San Jose, California. And I fell in love with San Jose.
Yeah.
And I remember I came home and I told my sisters, I was like, hey, does San Jose have like a UCLA? And they're like, yeah, they have this school called UC Berkeley. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to that school, UC Berkeley, because I need to get away from LA for a little minute because my whole career will be in LA. And, you know, my older sister's just like, all right, this little crazy girl, she wants to go to Berkeley now. But no, then I started to really research Berkeley, and I knew I wanted to go to Berkeley. But I also always knew, because I was a daughter of an older dad, like my dad had me older in life, that I was going to come back to LA and be with my pops, right? So as soon as like 6 months before graduation came, I started looking for jobs in Pacoima, in San Fernando, in Sun Valley. And I managed to get it to happen. And I'm thankful and grateful to my sisters who, because when I was in high school, they exposed me to campaigns. You know, they exposed me on how to get involved with the park, how to get involved with my church. So I was a real chavala when I started to really understand like how to get involved with the community. Yeah. So when I was lucky enough to have my first job in the community in environmental justice as a community organizer, my career just kind of projected to always getting things done in the Valley. Now, it did change 6 years after college because I worked at Pacoima Beautiful doing environmental justice. And then I followed my executive director to the city. So I used to work for my predecessor at the nonprofit. And then I worked for her as her field deputy for 2 years. But there was something that I did do by myself, independently of everyone else. So in the San Fernando Valley, and it was actually really real all over LA. Once upon a time, the state of California funded grants to get Latina women to help get more Latinos into higher education. Because according to research, if you educate the mother, you educate the son. So during that science, there was that kind of funding. So there was an organization called Comisión Femenil who started to host conferences when I was in high school, where they pretty much motivated me to say, you can be a teacher, you can be a writer, you can be a lawyer, right? And expose Latinas to Latina girls to be motivated. So when I came back from college, mind you, I minored in Chicano studies. I have a minor in Chicano studies, major in political science with a minor in Chicano studies and philosophy. And in my Chicano studies classes, one of the ones that I took was Chicanos in education, and of course I took Chicanos in the criminal justice system. Now, mind you, my 2 older sisters, graduates from UCLA undergrad and UCLA masters, but I do have an older brother who is in jail. So me being the little sister after my brother, when I was in college and I saw that there was 4 Latinas for every Latino male, but I would go visit my brother in the jail system, I was like, damn, this is where the majority of the guys are.
Yeah.
And I had a real problem with that. And then I would go, and then my little brother started high school, and you know, and he had some blocks in the road too. And he was in the magnet. We put him in the magnet, right? So to see my little brother have, you know, these roadblocks, and then go visit my brother in the jail and see that a bunch of our young men were there, and then reflecting on like, well, I got here because I had my sisters. I had Comisión Femenil provide that motivation. Since 2010, I graduated in 2009. I had been hosting a youth leadership conference 100% dedicated to boys.
That's
So
good. Fire.
before Obama created My Brother's Keeper, where it was like men, bromance, men motivate men to do well, I was already doing that. So what I was doing was bringing together a committee of señores, professional, graduate, you know, the privileged Latino men that went to college, and saying like, all right, how are we going to motivate your cousins, your little nephews? So that's what I did. I started this thing called Adelante Hombre Latino Youth Summit, where I would work with all of my high schools to recruit the boys. And they would cry, man. They would cry when you had another Latino man say, you could make it in real estate. You can be a lawyer. You can be a teacher. And that was always my project, right? So that was really where I created my base of getting involved in my community. So like by the time running for city council wasn't the first time I ran for office. The first time I ran for office was actually for school board. And it was actually the teachers union who found me because they were looking for a candidate, and no teacher, no principal who loves their kids was ready to become a politician in my community. But these teachers, these principals were like, well, you know what? There's this girl. She does this really cool conference that we all like. So like 4 different people at the union were like, who is this girl, Imelda Padilla, that everyone talks to us about with this youth conference? And then eventually that union, they ran me. I ran for school board. I didn't win. So I didn't win my first race, but it was very, very expensive to beat me. It was quite the experience to be, 20, how old was I? I was like 25, 26 years old, and like the most richest people on the planet funding money related to, I got caught up in a philosophical fight. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I was the
Just start
teachers
pulling out
union.
your whole history and but look, you got a family member.
Well, I was the teachers. I
Yeah.
became the teachers union candidate, and at that time there was a battle between traditional schools and charter schools.
Yeah.
And even though I had individual support from every single well-performing charter school in my district, from like Vaughan, Valor, they all had my back. But from the institution of the charter schools, they hated the teachers union. So they put in a lot of money to take me down. It was the first time where the city of Los Angeles saw a school board race cost $16 million. And the majority of that was to stop me because I was, perceived as being too pro-teacher, when there was an era where there was a lot of reform. But, today I have a good relationship with both systems, traditional schools and charter schools. But I learned a lot from losing that race.
Yeah.
Because I barely lost on a special election. But I think it kind of showed folks, like, when you have work done in your community, because again, I didn't have to do that youth program.
Yeah.
But I did that youth program because it was inspired and motivated for me to do it from the stuff that I actually read in college related to the amount of people in the Chicano community that are in jail, and the Latino Chicano community of our numbers in education, plus my personal story.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but I remember I had a professor in Chicano Studies Education, Dr. Blas Guerrero, who straight up told us one day, he goes, you think you're cool because you're at Berkeley? You ain't nothing. Like, you ain't nothing until you can claim that you helped other people from your neighborhood come to Berkeley. Or else right now, you just got lucky. And that really messed with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why hosting things like the youth conference meant a lot to me. And it really is the base of like why I'm here today.
But
And
it
that's
seems like
crazy
you
that
just,
you mentioned that youth conference for like the higher education brown people, because I've seen it firsthand. I've worked with I'm not sure if you heard of them, the Fusen Medicine.
Yeah.
They're 2 first-gen students that are becoming doctors, and they've been to those types of conferences, and I've seen the reaction that they get from like kids from middle school and like high school. Like, they look up to them because they look like them when like they were younger. So I mean, I remember going to school and not ever seeing someone in my my demographic speak to us, telling us like, hey, this is possible. But seeing them almost become doctors, speak to the young students, it like motivates them. I've seen the messages that they've gotten saying, oh, thank you for this, because of you pursuing a higher education. So things like that do really work. And
Yeah, I'm glad you
that's
brought
pretty
them
dope.
up, because I'm actually currently with my team working on bringing back the conference.
Okay.
I did it for a total of 10 years.
Yeah.
And then now it's kind of been about maybe 3 years now since we last had it.
Okay.
And we're actually trying to get them to be like our keynote speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And then
fire.
there's also a book called This Fool, related to Latino men and mental health.
Yeah.
My goal is to buy a copy of that book for every
Yeah.
kid that attends.
Oh,
So,
shit.
I follow all of the fool.
The full
Yeah.
world.
The
Shout out to
full
the full
pages.
community.
I'll send them a message, and
I remember
and let
growing
them
up,
know.
you can never call a guy a fool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like reclaiming that word to like become a better thing now. Cause like
Yeah,
food back then
yeah.
was like, hey, what's up, food, you know? But now it's like foods and medicines. Like,
Yeah.
you know, these guys from the hood are pursuing an education. It's like a different meaning to like a food now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Representation does matter
crazy.
because even hearing like city of Compton being 70% Latino, and them having no Latinos city council members. No, they were all African American. That bothers me because it's like how are you fighting for the community that you have no connection with? At least be able to represent at least the ratio of what the city is, and then that's been a thing for me where I feel like the community that you represent should like look like us. People should be working like us. Like even the cops, I feel like more cops should be from the community instead of just having people from everybody from Simi Valley. You over here covering Watts and then them treating them like not humans and because they don't relate to them. I feel like it's very important for our community to have more of that representation in every field, from like city workers to nurses and hospitals, cops and teachers.
Yeah, no, we need to immerse ourselves in everything.
Yeah.
Right. Like you mentioned it. We need to be in public safety. We need to be cops. We need to be doctors. We need to be in real estate. We need to be working at the banks.
Yeah.
You know, we need to be elected officials. Now, you mentioned 70% of Compton
70
is
Compton
Latino.
yes.
But you feel like the city council doesn't represent that?
Well, I think they have 4 of them, and then they're all African American.
Okay.
So to me, like when I see that, it's like I it doesn't sit well with me.
Well, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but you know what I can say is voting.
Yeah, voting.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not rare for Latinos to also vote for an African American leader or a white leader or somebody who's not like them, right? But what we have known is Latinos just traditionally don't show up to vote.
Yeah.
And I wish that I do think we need to change that. I think it's very important for us to recognize our power
Yeah.
in being able to vote. You know, I've always told folks, whether you and I agree or disagree on our politics, it makes me happy to know that you at least took advantage of voting.
Yeah.
And the more I talk to folks that tell me like why they chose not to exercise their right to vote, you know, especially Latino men, right? They'll say something like, oh, well, I didn't do my homework and I don't want to vote for the wrong thing, or like,
Yeah.
you know, or like, oh, it's not going to change anything, or
I think
anyway.
that's the biggest stigma they has, right? Like they'll try to like blanket voting like the president with local elections. Like the local elections, a couple hundred votes count a lot more
A lot.
than the actual president. So I always like, even though one of the most times I try to stay away from the presidential shit, I still always focus on the local election because
No, and that's good, 'cause most people are
10
the
votes
opposite.
could change the whole food program for the community. You know, like
Yeah, and you know what? And then most people are the opposite of that. They will vote for the president, but they don't vote
Yes.
for local.
they'll skip the local.
But that's the one that impacts your life the most.
But I think
And
it's also,
Exactly.
I mean, like a lack of information to go out to the families. You know what I mean? For, you know, everyone knows vote for a president, but vote for the elected or the city council members.
And-
We don't know what they do or why
it's
they're
crazy.
important.
I think they know. I think it's like let's keep it real. As Raza, we see the people with the little notepad in the community. We're closing our window. We're like, we
just
don't
ignore 'em.
get out of here.
Yeah.
We're busy right now. Like, oh, no, not right now. We don't give them the time of day.
But one thing that I've seen that does help a lot is social media. I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
new
yeah.
candidates are going onto social media and promoting themselves that way. Because every single kid, every single youth is on Instagram or some type of platform. So
Oh, yeah.
if they don't read the mail-in ballot or whatever, they'll see the video on Instagram, and there's more info there than whatever comes in through the mail. Because I don't really check my mail, to be honest.
Well, no, and that's okay. And see, and that's the important thing, right? So when a person like myself decides to run for office, there's a reason why they call it political science, right? It's a science to figure out how to contact you. So nowadays, the science is, if you're someone who doesn't read mail, I must figure out a way to get you through social media. But you mentioned something else that was very important. You're not informed, right? Again, that's why we have to as those who are putting their name on the ballot, well, how do I inform you about my story? How do I inform you about my plan? But here's the thing, like, it's an institution, and our goal is to turn you out to come and vote for us, right? But when you go 2 to 3 years without voting, you kind of, there's a registry, right?
Yeah.
And when you haven't voted, you no longer become a priority amongst the elected officials to try to capture your vote, right?
Interesting.
So you have to vote, or else, because I mean, it's expensive, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys have all heard, I'm sure, that elections are between 10 to 25% turnout.
Yeah.
All right. Understanding how to reach that 25 that's going to turn out versus the 100% that's registered, that's work. That's science.
Yeah.
And that's where the big dollars related to elections go to, is figuring out that 20%. So every time you don't vote, you remove yourself from that 20%. So you're more likely to be less informed because no one targets you per se.
Yeah.
But that's also part of why also I think Raza doesn't vote, is because we're so focused on our families, we're so focused on our jobs, that when the stuff related to the mail or the ads start to show up related to politics, like, oh no, I don't want to be the one that votes wrong. I didn't have time, so I'm just not going to do it. But one thing that I always tell folks is, like, there's someone in your family, your friends, your block that is following,
Yeah.
right?
For
There
sure.
is no shame in calling your tía, your tía's friend, your neighbor, you know, la señora que sabe todo, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no shame in reaching out to them and saying, hey, can you help me? Like, can you inform me? Like, do you know what this proposition is going to do? Do you know if this politician is a good person or a non-good person? I always tell folks, there is no shame in reaching out to your network about how you should be guided to understand what has been happening. I mean, that's how we make decisions related to when we host a party. Hey, do you know what business I should go to is going to give me a better deal on the video or a better deal on the dress or da-da-da-da-da-da-da? It's kind of the same concept. You can go to your gente que sabe and say, help me vote.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that, you know? There's no shame in going to your nerdy little cousin once a year that you probably haven't seen since the holidays to say, hey, I want to vote. Can you guide me? And they'd probably be honored.
What would you say is like the bare minimum of someone that has no idea about their local politics? What's like the bare minimum they can go out and do some type of research on to just get informed about their local politics and make an informed decision?
The bare minimum is just Google it. You know, just Google it. Prop number, blah, blah, blah. Tell me the pros and tell me the cons. You know,
that's what I do.
Now, and then you can make your own decision, right? Now, when you really get into it, you know, folks always say follow the money, right? Like, when you really start to research it, it's like, okay, well, they have a really good campaign. I like their colors. I like their messaging. But who's funding it, right? And then you can make your own decision based on those things that say where the money is coming from. And a lot of people make decisions from where the money is coming from. But the bare minimum is Google it on your own. I actually think it's a big deal to actually go to the señora, to the neighbor, to the cousin, to the nephew that is following. To me, that's a big deal. But also, you know, you can also read your mail.
Yeah.
You know, like, maybe collect the mail as it starts arriving. And then once you're ready to sit down and fill out that ballot, really read everything. You know, there's some folks that really depend on that. Some people really like the mail. Some communities can't stand the mail. Some people wait till the last minute and hope that the candidate actually knocks on their door. You're like, maybe they'll come to my door, because that technically does happen.
It does.
So it really just is on your own threshold. But
And
I like
also,
voting in
it's
person.
outdated, right? The whole how they target. Because to me, I'm an independent. Once I chose to be independent, I no longer get no marketing from either side
oh, really?
at all.
Oh, okay.
At all. And I think, like, that strategically, like, and I'm like, even that system is broken.
But
Because
It's cheaper.
when was the last time you voted, though?
every election,
Oh,
the
okay.
last
No, it's so
fucking-
funny. I have a friend who was Republican that went independent, and he feels like he's contacted more as an
I'm
independent.
not. I've literally stopped getting ballots. I stopped getting anything, brochures. My girl still does. She's registered as a Democrat, so she still gets a bunch of shit. I got nothing. No more. Literally, it went from getting the same amount as her to like literally zero, which is like
'Cause
I
your
feel like
vote's not
that's
working.
weird. literally zero. It went to zero.
But that's what I mean. That's
yeah.
part of the science, right? Like, if there's a Democrat versus a Democrat running against each other, they're all gonna fight for like who's gonna show up.
Yeah.
But one of them is gonna have enough money or a smart consultant that says you're not gonna win unless you get the independent vote. So they'll probably start to spend some money trying to capture you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
'cause
see what I mean?
It's all down to like every politician should have a marketer behind them or study marketing, because it's literally like you're gonna spend $50 million to save your base. You got this $20 million aside to either turn your opposition or just at least get them to not vote.
Yeah.
Because they're confused all of a sudden over a policy or something. One thing I did want to talk
That's
about.
the scariest part when
Yeah.
people don't vote.
I did want to talk about something that's sort of like plaguing a lot of communities lately is big tech. So I don't know if you heard of like flock cameras. Those have been going in a lot of communities lately, going into essentially it's like a privatized camera security system that they place cameras everywhere. There's like a lot of I guess publicity around it, or like negative publicity, because they recently had something where they claim to be very private and for your safety, and then they found out that one of the employees is actually logging in and like snooping in on like little girls doing yoga or whatever. So I think one of the biggest things that we have to look out for now is like big tech, especially the data centers. I know they had one trying to open up recently in San Gabriel Valley. And I know there's plenty of ideas for that. Even in Vernon, they're trying to open one right where I think Farmer Boys used to be too.
Oh yeah.
So what do you say to something like that? Because obviously it's going to affect the entire community, because all of our electricity costs are going to go up. Meanwhile, they have their marketing saying, "Oh, it's actually going to reduce costs in the long run, etc."
Yeah, so well, like I'm in charge of the Government Operations Committee at the City of Los Angeles, which is in charge of everything related to technology. And I think technology, I don't believe we need to fear technology, right? I don't believe we need to fear AI. I think we're going through a point in history where we're just a little nervous about AI and everything related to the data centers and the cameras, because it's a technology that is coming incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
But similar to like what I said not too long ago in front of a bunch of stakeholders in Hollywood, we're going through the same conversations that happened during the Industrial Revolution when we invented the steam engine, right? We're having the same conversations when we first invented the computer, when we first invented the internet, right? We get nervous as a society when there is new technology that could really change the way that we live our everyday lives. So I think right now, city by city, if you're up for building the data center, that's a conversation within the folks that live there. City of Vernon is a heavily industrial city.
heavily.
So I could see it being built there, not getting a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
But I forgot which beach city. There was one beach city that said absolutely not. I'm not remembering at the top of my head which one said it related to a data center. But, I think I think that that's also why it's equally important to know who you're putting in office. Because if you know that right now the big talk of the town is the future of technology and how technology impacts your life, do you really want to vote for someone that isn't tech savvy? You don't, right? You want to be able to have a representative that's going to be able to talk to the big ITA guys. So with me, I like to follow what contracts and what things we're doing related to moving on with AI, and then learning from it and making policies related to protecting artists, related to protecting our security. Right now, today was actually the day where we finally started to talk about it in committee, what happened with the security breach with LAPD. We're about to figure out exactly what the details are, but essentially what we do know is that the pandemic hit. You had a bunch of social protests, and because of that, we wanted to make sure that the attorneys had access to LAPD files. So we had like a vendor that had a contract where they were allowed to see LAPD files, but on the IT side, we didn't like block things that were related to police department and police officers' personal data. So we overshared. Again, so you see, like, this was us. That was our leaders at that time, not looking at the contract in detail, and also having people in the ITA department that weren't on top of helping the police department build out a system where things that were legit personal and not public were protected. So I'm just of the position where it's like, I'm not against technology, but I am definitely about embracing it, but then asking ourselves, well, what are we learning and how are we benefiting? And for things that are negative, like intrusion of looking at young little girls just enjoying their yoga, well, then we got to make some rules related to how that's not okay. And we're going to figure out how to stop it when it becomes negative for our communities.
Yeah, because I feel like it's always scary.
That's kind of loaded. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, because when,
makes perfect
when you privatize things like that, it gets like, it becomes crazy like that.
Yeah, because like specifically with Flock, you know, the way that a lot of I guess government agencies are getting around not being able to legally, you know, get the data from everyday citizens. That's why we have stuff like Palantir coming. We have stuff like Flock where they're, you know, making deals with the cities to put up hundreds of cameras everywhere. And it's up to, you know, everyday people. There's even people that have started like an account like Don't Flock, where they'll literally go out and vandalize these cameras because it is an invasion of privacy. And so, you know, it's sort of contingent on us, especially in Los Angeles, a city of 10 million, where it can be like, we can easily have that situation where we'll end up with thousands of Flock cameras everywhere. Then we'll be getting, you know, charged for the slightest, you know, traffic error we make, you know, then we can't walk around, you know, safely because then we think we're being watched, and then suddenly it just becomes too much for us, you know.
Well, I mean, there are, you know, you're not wrong. There is definitely some countries that we know have completely embraced cameras everywhere. And I think you get like a ticket for societal back behavior, like you're urinating in public, you get a ticket, right? So I don't think Americans would ever appreciate that. But you know what I think Americans do appreciate that is you can't steal a car in the city of Los Angeles anymore and not get caught. If you're going to steal a car, you're going to get caught. And that is because of the technology that has improved within the city of Los Angeles and within our public safety jurisdictions, both at the city and at the county, and with other cities that have other departments. I don't know if you know anybody that's recently gotten their car stolen, but they're figuring out who stole your car. And that's because of things like the increased use of cameras. So, you know, again, there's pros and cons. So again, when we find out, like, hey, man, I don't want my government giving me a ticket because I did something like, you know, get into a bar fight at 2 a.m, well, then that's a conversation to be held, right? But do you want your public safety department to be able to help you when you get your car stolen? Well, then again, that's where the conversation of public policy is malleable takes place. That's technically my job, is to hear the stories of what people want and don't want, and then we make rules related to it.
I have a hard question for you. Okay, regarding I believe it was the district attorney Gascon, right? Gascon, that was the previous one.
The previous one, yeah.
Did you feel like him coming out of office has helped the conviction? Because my opinion, when he was on office, people were just doing the most and not being charged or like letting out of jail within a couple of days, instead of like giving them the, you know, hey, sit down for some time. You keep doing this over and over and over again, or it's time for you to sit down for some time. Do you feel like Gascon was not good for the city of LA?
I respect who voters put into office at the given time. So when Gascon was put into office, I think he won his seat at the time that he won his seat because constituents felt like maybe there was a lot of overuse of policing and jail time, right? But then voters can also feel like maybe he went too far. And then that's why you had a pendulum swing into Mr. Hoffman now, right? So I've met both, I've worked with both, and I respect both. And I think right now the city of Los Angeles is going through a sort of like an identity crisis related to what is considered progressive and what is considered liberal, because we don't want the 90s to repeat themselves, right? Where it was like you jaywalked and that was a crime, right? You were late to school and that was a crime, right? Like you were loud and obnoxious in your classroom, and then you went to detention, and then that got you into, juvenile hall, and then that turned like people don't want to go back to the 90s. But also, one of the things that I've observed is that, a lot of the formerly incarcerated folks from the 90s that are finally coming home are coming home and saying, what just happened? Right? Because there's a lot of good people that have been working on reducing the things that caused mass incarceration, right? Like the folks that worked on reducing compulsory laws, like 3 strikes you're out. What are those other ones called? The mandatory minimums, right? And there's been a lot of things at the state level to cut that. But at the same time, there's like this whole thing of it's like, yeah, but now I can't even enjoy the park. Right? Like guys that are coming out of jails from doing life sentences are coming home and saying,
it's happening a lot right now.
Why is there so much trash at the park? Wait, why is this guy getting high on the block and yelling at the top of his lungs, but the cops don't do anything? Back in my days in the 90s, that was incredibly unacceptable. So I do think right now the city of Los Angeles is going, again, through an identity crisis of what it means to be progressive. Because one thing we do know that we want cleaner air. We do know that we want, clean water. Like on the environmental side, we're all like on the same. We all know what we want for the environment, right? We know that. We all know what we want in terms of like women's rights. We all know what we want in terms of like youth rights. But when it comes to everything related to public safety, I think that that's where there is a lot of people with a lot of diverse opinions.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes they try to go too much on the liberal side because of the mistakes happening in the 90s with all the convictions that were happening. Like, you're right, you do this, next you know you're doing 25 for life because you stole a gum on your 3rd strike. And I think they're just trying to like use that example to justify a lot of their liberal ways when it comes to conviction. And that's kind of like, I don't know, I like what you said. There's like an identity crisis between what's progressive and what's liberal. I actually like that statement.
Is there like a council district that's like not the best, but like the one that gets looked up upon, like, oh, this one's great, like their council person is doing everything great and like it's working well? Is there one in LA for that, or
that's doing everything well?
Or one that gets looked upon like that,
Well, I think so.
I'm just curious, like, to see if there's like a hierarchy, like, oh, this one's the best, this one's next, and then this one.
No, that's a great question. And I think, mind you, I've only been in council for 3 years, and a lot of the council members that are closer to my age were in our 1st term. Some of them are en route to their 2nd term. I wouldn't say that we look at other council members and say, oh, you're doing a better job or you're the better district, but we all will admit that the longer someone is in council, the better they are at their job, right? So like a person like myself or council member Eunice Hernandez or Jurado or Hugo Soto Martinez, we're the younger cats, right?
Exactly.
we very much look up to or lean on our council colleagues that have been there longer, whether we're on like the same spectrum politically. Like we all know that we can go to a Bob Blumenfield who's in his third term, like, hey Bob, how do you do this? You know, or we can go to Marquise Harris Dawson, who's maybe a little bit closer to our age, but he's been there for his third term, and it's like, hey Bob, how do you do this, right? I have a next door neighbor, Monica Rodriguez, who's been there, who's also in her third term. I lean on her, right? So you just kind of get better while you're there, but you do lean on the ones that have been there longer and have figured out how to address issues. I'll give you a perfect example. It's so hard to fix the sidewalks.
No, for sure.
But my council colleague, Monica Rodriguez, she was able to think outside the box and she figured out how to do it with the Conservation Corps. Now her idea, all of us are trying to figure out how to mimic it because it was a really good idea. All right. So, but will someone say, well, because someone's been there longer, they're the better council member or their area is better? I don't really think it
But
works
it's just
that
more
way.
like an experience thing.
Yeah, it
like
really
the longer
is.
you've been there, the more experience you have and know how to handle things, right? I guess.
Yeah, because here's the thing. There's a lot of noise at City Hall.
Yeah.
And City Hall is set up to where, think about it. There's term limits on who your leaders are. I can't be there more than 12 years.
Also,
If the
12
voters,
years per term.
yeah, there's 12 maximum, right?
Okay.
You could do 3 4-year terms. But the person who might be in charge of the street services or the police services or the Department of Water and Power, there's people there that are there for 40, 50 years. So the building itself is very institutional, very protective. Your job as a council member is to really figure out how to get these departments to care about your area. So it is a lot about relationships, and it is a lot of a learning curve to figure out how to advocate for those departments to care about your community, right? Because again, if there's a community where people are calling the office and there's some communities that don't even call their council member. They call the general manager directly, right? Who said Encino? You said Encino?
Yeah, like meaning like I brought
Oh
it
man,
up. Yeah.
Encino is one of the most well-organized neighborhoods in the entire city of Los Angeles. I don't represent them, and they call me all the time. There's a good chunk of them that call me all the time because I border them.
Yeah.
So because I border them, and we both, it's the Sepulveda Basin that's our border. If they don't hear back from their council member, who is Nithya Raman, who is also kind of more of a new school council member, when they don't hear from her, they call me.
So we
And
can
they
do that?
call me often.
So we're able to call people from a different district and kind of have them call our council person.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rules related to who you can and can't call, right? But if it's your border and it's like, hey, man, on my side of town, this is how it is, but you got to fix it on your side of town. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to Council District 4, there was a huge encampment between me and Council District 4 in the Van Nuys area. The encampment was technically in District 4, but it was affecting the businesses on my side in Council District 6. It got to a point where I had to go tell Nithya Raman, either you address it the way you want to address it, and I know you have your own style, or I'm going to address it my style. And my style is that I'm going to put a big old camera with LAPD, and I'm going to figure out, who is causing the chaos. And then I'm going to go from there because technically this is your encampment. You need to find the beds.
Yeah.
You need to find their services. And it wasn't until I told her, I'm going to put a big old camera in partnership with LAPD because that's what my constituents want me to do because they feel like this is not just an encampment where you have like the families that fell into homelessness because they got a bad, they lost their job or something, right? Like this is an encampment that is perceived by my community as a criminal element of thieves, a criminal element of carjackers, right?
For the most part, that's like the most consistent thing, right? They're mostly criminals and drug users. For the most part, I've personally,
Well, for
For
that
the most
one?
part, but I wouldn't say
Per-
that.
personally-
there's a lot of people that do struggle and end up homeless.
personally, I've never met somebody that are homeless because they lost a job.
Well, again, given the thousands, every story is different.
Yeah.
Right? But again, like, that is why I go back to what I told you guys. That is why I have my service providers. Tell me who you're running into. Are you like, I vividly remember one time, like, I just couldn't take it. And I went to go talk to some of the RVs. And I remember it was a young guy, Latino, and he said, okay, I'm leaving. I won't stay parked at the park. It's just me here in the RV, but I got my wife and my daughter at the hotel. We finally got our Section 8 voucher, but it's a Section 8 voucher that makes us move to Palmdale. And I'm not trying to move to Palmdale. I'm waiting till something to open up in the valley. I was actually proud of him. You know, like, you got your family in the hotel, but you're the one that's taking the sacrifice at the RV? Okay, then. I have a little empathy for that. But in the case of that one encampment where there was the criminal element, I had to tell that council member thinks everyone is the guy from the story that I just told you from the RV.
Yeah.
She refused to believe, she's now running for mayor, she refused to believe that the people living in that encampment were actually carjackers and business, robbers or whatnot. So I told her, either you clean this up or this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Either you impose your philosophy and your approach at cleaning this, or I'm going to put up a big camera. She took care of it in the next couple of months in partnership with Mayor Bass. So Mayor Bass was the one who finally said, all right, Nithya Raman, I will take care of your issue. But it took a lot of pushing on my side, the representative across the street. So, we, again, every council member has a different philosophy. Every council member has a different approach. And every council member learns from their council colleagues as they want to learn.
Once your term ends, are you planning on running again?
Oh my goodness. So I really like city council. After I lost my school board race, a lot of people thought I was going to just run for whatever opened up next. And that wasn't the case for me. The assembly seat opened up and the Senate seat opened up before the city council seat opened up. But the state leadership never, at this time in my life, did not appeal to me. Especially because of the way that I lost my father, where I lost my father through an accidental death at work. And, my mom is also aging. The lifestyle of going to Sacramento 3 times a week just didn't appeal to me. So I like local politics. I like being able to fix things in my backyard. So I do want to finish doing a total of 12 years. And then whatever is available at that time, if it's a local seat, I'll run for a local seat, I wouldn't mind trying school board again. I did work at the county for a total of 3 years as a consultant at the CEO's office. My favorite job ever. Got a lot of work done there. So yeah, I plan to stay local. And like I said, the last years of my life, though, I hope and plan to teach at community college.
That's dope, yeah.
That's
If
fire.
I can reel this back, the heart of us here at Cult Media is really just like music and entertainment and the arts. We're all artists at heart. We know Miguel because we all do art in some way. What kind of incentives do kids have in your district or even in Los Angeles specifically so that they can get involved? Because I feel like, if I wasn't involved in the arts, I definitely wouldn't have been where I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the arts, right? Like
You were a tagger growing up?
Huh?
You were a tagger growing up?
I was not a tagger growing up. Oh no, I have the worst penmanship on earth.
Chicken off the record.
I'm chicken scratch all day, every day. No, not even close. But I did. I before my parents bought their first home, we did live in apartments where our next door neighbors were huge graffiti artists. We were a bunch of fourplexes, and every fourplex had a garage. And I remember the fourplex next to us, they had all kinds of graffiti, like battles going on all the time. And I was like that little girl that would just like stare. And so I grew up with always around graffiti. And I grew up with people that taught me the difference between, tagging is ego and graffiti is art, right? Like you tag something quick and easy, blah, 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 blah. That's just your ego. That's just the ego for yourself or your crew or whatever. But for those who actually like do a piece, that is art. And that was always my mentality. And, as I kept getting older and I understood the difference between when both can be considered vandalism, well, what of it, right? So when I actually got involved, first started getting involved with something called the LA Youth Council when I was in high school, I vividly remember being with a bunch of, kids that were en route to Stanford, kids that were en route to UCLA and Harvard. And there was kind of like this negative connotation to anything related to people painting on the walls. And because of a mentor of mine by the name of Manny Velasquez, who is a muralist in the neighborhood, I would be like, you know what, like, let's start to differentiate the difference, right? Like, there's tagging and there's graffiti, and some of these kids that are doing graffiti really are talented, but there's just no opportunity for them to really use their art talents anywhere. So how do we create a future where that's better for them? Now, as I got older and started to really understand policy, City of Los Angeles had really strict policies related to murals before.
Yeah.
It was impossible to do any kind of mural, and that's changed, right? And that is part of a movement that happened in the City of Los Angeles where young artists were saying, well, of course, we're a bunch of graffiti artists. There's nowhere where we can like take on our art. So that's why we have been seeing like a renaissance in more murals, taking place in Los Angeles. And then sometimes I even have these conversations with the cops sometimes and building and safety. Like, have you noticed that a lot of the graffiti artists, it's almost like they self-organize themselves that whenever there's like an abandoned building, let's go there first.
It's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Before they go spray paint the little market or the liquor store, like they're all going to that abandoned, because it's almost like their own form of protest, right? It's like, you own this property and you're not going to keep it clean. Well, I'm going to mess it up even more, right?
Kind of like the graffiti towers, where they at this time.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I mean, we got a tour of that recently, a formal tour. And the two night watchmen that watch it, I told them, I'm like, you guys need to write a book about this, because their stories related to how, the first night where they all came, and then plus having to deal with people sleeping in there to get it done.
Yeah,
people
I
trying
love
to
that.
bribe
I love
them.
that happened, because if you look at the money, you follow the money, it goes back to politics, into like foreign money coming into downtown LA and not giving back to the community.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, right? Because that's really where a lot of it is at.
Yeah.
So I still continue to have a very good relationship with teachers, and every time the teachers are in their negotiations, I always tell them, like, don't let the district not follow state law related to the arts. We need kids to play instruments. We need kids to paint. We need kids to play around with clay, right? Because not everybody learns the same, right? And we know that through like studies in psychology, right, and education. So for us to not have, some kids, man, I remember, I was a cheerleader in high school. Some people would have never graduated high school if it wasn't for that motivation to get the grades to play basketball, to play the football, to play that. So if you know that if we know for a fact that there's some kids who do better in school through the motivation of playing their sports, there's just as many kids related to the motivation of the arts. So now as a council member, we do have an arts budget. We do have a Department of Cultural Affairs. I have been very intentional about recruiting artists from my area to help me paint utility boxes. I'm also currently creating like a committee of folks related to building more murals. It is my interest to continue something that started on Van Nuys Boulevard in the Pacoima, Arleta area, expanding it to Mural Mile, to Panorama and Van Nuys on Van Nuys Boulevard to do more murals. The artists that made that Mural Mile famous included obviously Levi Pons and Manny Velasquez, and JP, Juan, I forget Juan's last name. But, they're the ones that really helped, kind of carry it forward. Now I'm working with them saying, all right, we're going to continue it, but, do me a favor and let's make sure that we also bring people from Panorama and Van Nuys and Arleta, because what you guys did in Pacoima was obviously amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly important because the majority of the rap artists we talked to here in Los Angeles specifically, they all have the same story of their schools didn't cater to their artistic needs.
Yeah.
They all had thoughts of I don't need to go to school, which obviously they should, but if the school already had incentivized something like that, or even an after-school program that the city itself provides, that's a great gateway. I was
think
able
so.
to have the privilege of going to a program after high school called Inner City Filmmakers, where they allowed us to go into Santa Monica, immediately push us into the studio system and like just getting a grasp of what it is to work in the film industry. I had my first internship at Beats by Dre literally like a week after I graduated. So I think
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that pushed me to obviously go into college and then get my 4-year
Yeah.
degree and stuff. So things like that need to be happening a lot more. And I feel that because I already get a sense of like the majority of the people we have spoken to that are already successful in their own right as musicians, they had to do it their own way.
Yeah.
And I say in Los Angeles, because we are known for our music and
Yeah.
our art and our styles and tastes, we should have a sort of like a gateway system to immediately push people into that and streamline their careers, because when we come to LA or anyone moves to LA, that's what they're coming for. They're coming
Yeah.
for the arts, the movies,
The culture.
the culture.
And then also like the program they have is are very outdated. Instead of doing an orchestra class, have a music studio in the high school. Stuff that's evolved. People are not gonna go sign up for the orchestra class.
Yeah.
I know very few probably will, but for the most part, I think we need social media courses in high school, because you can't escape social media. It's a part of life now. And also, I feel like we do need a music, 'cause especially LA. We need music and film producing
music
stuff
producing.
in high school before the kids get out. So that way they know, like, okay, I like this, what I'm doing. Or how can I better myself? Oh, you know what? It's a film school after high school that they could attend to. Then they'll be able to work hard to get into that film school. I think.
Yeah, and I mean, all of us are, I don't know how old you guys are exactly, but for the children that we have, we have more options for that, right? So like I know, for example, in my district, there's a school named Voces,
No.
and there's now compared to like when we were in school, if a teacher wants to be the leader to make something different and innovative in their school, they can, right? That is what the charter school model was supposed to be, right? It was a tool to be able to think outside the box. Another tool now is like a pilot school. So Voces, where I'm from, there's a teacher there who has created the green rooms, right? He has created the studio. And it's a pilot's, I believe over there, he's trying to apply for pilot status to where you can come there and learn how to do things like production, do things like make movies.
Yeah.
So we are moving in a direction where your schools have that option now, but now you run into the issue of like, well, how do parents know that, right? How do parents know that school Voces has that when all they've ever known is the high school that everybody graduated from that's down the street, and they're just a traditional thing, right? So like you also have a situation where schools don't know how to market themselves with these new programs. But there's definitely been a lot of changes at the educational level. because there has been this understanding that, like, for a long time, you know, the schools moved into we got to get everybody into college. And those who didn't go to college, well, ni modo, right?
Yeah.
And then now there's this new talk of like, wow, we're realizing that you can make more money being a plumber,
Yeah.
right? You could make more money being an
a
electrician,
TikToker. Yeah.
a TikToker, right? But now, regardless though, like, how do you, you still have to, now we're also wondering, like, well, regardless of whether you become a plumber or a college student or a TikToker, do you know how to use a credit card? Right? Do you know how to use a bank? Right? And now there's this big push related to financial literacy because regardless of what you fall into,
Yeah.
everyone's got to use the financial system.
Yeah.
Right? So there's definitely always things that we can do better as a society for our young people. But again, this goes back to voting,
Yeah.
right? Like, you don't just vote for your city council member and your county folks, but in elections, you also vote for the people that represent you in your water boards, your school boards. They're called special district boards.
Yeah.
All right. So like, and what I've noticed is becoming much more popular is that you're starting to have groups that are helping folks decide who to vote for judge. There's a big movement right now to people saying, vote for this person for judge versus this person. So again, I mean, it's just so important, you know, like when you sit down and you start, you know, going through like your dental insurance or your medical insurance, because, you know, it's important because maybe there's something wrong with your health. So I got to make sure I get the right health insurance. That's similar to how voting is, you know, like it's important to sit down and take it serious and think about it. And you might be really busy, but again, think about the shortcuts, like going to that lady on the block que lo sabe todo. I was actually at a career fair the other day with 4th graders, and they asked me, who are the most powerful people in your world? Who do you guys think I told them are the most powerful people?
The voters.
Karen Bass. Which would be another question that I have for you.
No, it's actually the moms that kick it at parent centers.
Oh, yeah. For sure. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Esas señoras lo saben todo.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
They know it all.
Yeah.
They really
care
do.
to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a small community too. Like people that are like
It's a comadre network.
actively like
Yeah.
trying to fix the community. It's usually a small little group, and then they are the most powerful.
They're so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, they usually have like the final say in like the household. So like when they know everything, they share it amongst each other, and like they'll make the final decisions.
I mean, have you ever heard your mom or your aunt or somebody go to their friend and be like, "Oh, tú que lo sabes todo.
Yeah.
Tú que lo sabes todo. Tú que lo sabes todo." Like, there's power in being la señora que tú que lo sabes todo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're usually the ones that can help you with your voting.
You know, what helps me is like media platforms that I mess with, that I read, like your LA Tacos. Like they give you your guides every voting.
That's a good one.
And not only LA Taco, I go to a couple because I don't want to
Yeah,
be
you should
just
go to a
I don't want to
couple.
be just swayed by one or the other.
Very
'Cause
good.
LA Taco, I don't think they're owned by Raza. Shout out to Memo though. But I try to go to a couple, and then they'll give me the pros and cons of each. And then I make my own decision based on that.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm like in a rush where my girl's like, yo, today's voting. She'll tell me, make sure you go.
Wait till the last day.
Yeah, and then I'm like, fuck. But I take at least an hour where I go and cross-reference why or why not for a couple of my favorite media platforms. And
No,
that's
but
kinda
yeah,
why-
for sure. When I vote locally, I do call my friend, the one that knows it all.
knows it all.
I'd be like, hey, you know,
Yo, Eric.
what's this, what's that?
And there's no
like, they'll-
shame in it.
It's not.
Call them.
And like they'll break it down for you even better than a commercial or those flyers
Yeah.
that you get. I was like,
They'll
okay,
simplify
you're
it.
right.
Yeah.
Let me do my 5-minute search, and then it checks out. Cool, thank you. You know, but yeah, for sure, calling your friend that knows it all is my way to go.
Yeah.
Honestly,
'Cause some people only go for the sticker and they
Yeah.
just put whatever on there.
It's the Instagram post.
Those incentives
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
All right. One of my final questions. I want to. Are we happy with the work that Karen Bass has done in LA
Well,
as Latinos? Latinos, are we happy with it?
now you're talking to somebody who has endorsed her.
Yeah.
I am with her 100%. She is the first woman mayor that Los Angeles has ever had. And she also happens to be an African American woman, right? And when I think back to what her first term has given her, I'm surprised. I don't know how she does it, right? Like, who in the world would have expected the Palisade fires? Who in the world would have expected her to deal with everything that happened with ICE, right? So, and not only that, but I don't think she gets enough credit for the fact that we have started to finally clear encampments that were never touched before.
But
Now,
is that because of the Olympics though?
well, whether it was the Olympics or not, I mean, we did the work.
Because in South Central specifically, there's this we had South Central cleanups, which is a guy that does, he's self-funded. He does a lot of cleaning in South Central, which the city doesn't even he does more work for South Central than the actual city. But what he noticed is that in the brown area of South Central tends to be the most dirtiest. The encampments are pushed that way. But on the African American side, there's way less night and day. And there is more crime on one side and the other, and it doesn't reflect based on the cleanliness.
Well, I think that has, I think that a lot of things can contribute to that, independent of who our mayor is. Okay, because remember, African Americans, if you're African Americans from LA, they love being from LA. They fight hard to emphasize we're from LA and this is where we're from and this is where we're planning to stay. Historically, we have been pushed out, but there is a good constituency that is very like, we're from LA and we're here to stay. And here's the thing, unlike Latinos, they do vote and they do call and they are very united. And within our community, our folks, because they're shy, because they don't know how the system works, they don't call as often. So that can be part of why like the streets don't get cleaned up as often, is because no one's calling to complain. The city of Los Angeles is set up in a way where you have to elevate what the issue is. And the African American community in Los Angeles knows how to exercise their rights much more than our Latino constituents, right?
Yeah.
So that could be part of why you're probably seeing one side of the community look one way versus the other.
And there's an app for it too.
Yeah? Oh, shit.
And this is why I think it's so important that it's like in these, as I'm trying to, go into places like this, like podcasts, it's to remind folks like, first generation, second, third generation Latinos, like we still live with our just arriving family and friends, right? But it's almost like we impact each other where like we don't recognize how much power we have as voters and our ability to be able to make a phone call to say, I deserve better. Our community deserves better. Now, maybe we're too busy, but like, one of my number one community leaders that would call me all the time, she doesn't as much anymore because she's dealing with some health issues. But I had a community leader, undocumented. My God, she didn't care that she was undocumented. If there was bulky items keeping the kids from being able to have a safe walk from school to their house, she was calling me. And I wish I had more people like her. But, again, here's a woman that just kind of cared. It was in her nature to care. But for me to convince, a group of folks that are probably able to vote, hanging out in the front yard, but they don't care. Yeah. They're not calling my office. So really, a community might look the way it looks, irrespective of who's the top dog and who's the mayor. It really depends on how that community is doing what they got to do to either, like you said, take matters into their own hands by cleaning the streets themselves or making the phone calls to get those things moving.
That's fair. It sounds like it could be a mix of like a language barrier.
Yeah.
They
Big
expect
time.
someone on the other side to have to speak English when they only speak Spanish. And then
Knowing how to.
immigration status is probably a big
Yeah, I think
factor.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Gigantic.
Yeah, for sure. People
Knowing how
don't
to
want to
as
like
well.
fill out paperwork. You
I
know,
just
that
learned.
oh, shit.
Paperwork. My goodness, are people scared of
Yeah, they're like,
paperwork,
oh, we gotta
right?
put my name on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, do you really gotta take my name?
Yeah, they're
I
very
mean,
scared of that.
I
Yeah.
got a Chicana constituent who complains about. She says it all the time. I don't mind the street vendors, but I don't like it that they're bumping the music in the morning. She's never given us her name or her address, right? Because she doesn't want to be perceived as someone that is working against her own people.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know where to address it anyways.
Well, I mean, I did handle it from the perspective of we went to the vendors and we said, hey, man, the neighbors don't mind you working hard for your livelihood, but do you really need to be bumping music at 6 a.m. in the morning? If
Yeah.
you continue this, you're going to ruin it for everyone. And guess what? The music stopped. But again, more than first generation, she's nervous to give her name, give her address, because that's just how she grew up.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
give my
you will
name.
snitch.
I don't want the
Yeah, I mean,
government.
retaliation,
I don't
bro.
want the government to
Yeah.
know who I am. I don't
No,
want. You
you're
know
right.
what I mean?
That's funny.
Yeah, you're right.
But then
that
also
does
the
happen.
211 app, right? I'm not sure if that one's useful to report things that are missing lights, bulky items. things
Yeah.
like
So
that.
211 is a county number.
Oh, okay.
And they're actually a really good system. I actually had I have a cousin who's paraplegic, and he used to call. I forgot one number related to mental health needs, and that organization lost their funding. And he's like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I used to lean on this number," and I was like, "You know what, cuz? Call 211. That's the county. Tell them that whatever nonprofit you used to refer to no longer has funding, and tell them, who can I call for my mental health?" Because it's the county and that's their jurisdiction, they handle it like this. So yes,
okay.
211 for your county services is very good.
Yeah, it is.
311 is the one for the city.
Oh,
But yes,
311. Okay.
311 is where the city of Los Angeles, where you can report the graffiti, the trash, your broken street lights, all that stuff, and then it goes into a system.
Oh, okay.
And
But
you know
yeah,
what?
use both.
They do work. They do work. Because every time I've called for bulky items,
you're
10
just
out of
neutral.
10 times,
Yeah.
because they come through.
Hey, that's a man
They
that
do.
cares about his community. Right?
Yeah, I do.
We're,
makes
we're
that
here
call.
because of him.
No, but
Yeah, it does work. But like you said, people don't take initiative to like do the research, make the form or file the form. But they do work for sure. I think we're just not we're too lazy out here sometimes to use the resources that we do have available to us. Yeah, but I do appreciate you pulling up. Is there
pop
anything
quiz,
else?
real quick? Pop quiz. You're
Pop quiz? Is that what you
council.
said?
No, for
for
us,
it.
I guess. Since you're the councilwoman for like District 6, do you guys know your council district?
I don't
And like
know
who
my council
represents
district.
you guys?
Nah.
I don't.
Come on, guys.
5.
We're educated.
Yeah, no, I wish I would have known some more information for sure, but
Well, this is how I ask folks. What community do you call home?
well, I'm not born. I was raised in the Boyle Heights area.
Okay, so you probably live in Council District 14.
Okay,
Council District 14.
Jurado. Isabel Jurado.
I'm gonna give Mr. Jurado a call.
Isabel Jurado,
Yeah.
okay.
What about you, Prime?
Oh,
Before this.
Isabel.
It's Isabel, yeah.
Oh,
Isabel
I'm
Jurado,
sorry.
yes.
Isabel.
I guess for mine is District 9, but it says it's Supervisorial District 2. I don't know what that means.
Do you live on Florence Firestone?
Yeah,
Okay, so then you probably live in unincorporated county.
yeah. I think it says District 2.
District 2?
Broadway, Manchester, South. That's my area.
Okay, so if you're unincorporated county, District 2, that means you don't have a council, but you have a supervisorial person that is in charge of your town.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay?
yeah. That's what I didn't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Payola, they already got you in the books. Huh?
I know myself.
They got to you already. Nah. Hey, I appreciate it. Anything you
Wait, he
want
didn't
to?
answer. What about you?
Oh,
What's your pop quiz?
Oh, that,
Yeah.
I had to look it up earlier. So it is District 5, I think, with Downey.
Oh, it's Downey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Downey is its own city. So you have your own council district, and you are probably in number 5 within Downey.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so we
I'm
have
surprised
Beverly.
you didn't know because you're like the most political out of the whole
I
group.
know.
Unfortunately, when it comes to
lacking.
politics, I'm very like international, like
Okay.
like countrywide
Everything
politics.
except the
Yeah.
U.S.
Because It depends on, I guess, like where you are in life. You know, I've never had the. I guess I'm a privileged person. I would have to say.
Well, yeah.
Where-
Do you rock being from the Mexican Beverly Hills?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
Downey, right?
I was from Maywood and Southgate before, and I grew up in a
Southeast
little
cities.
garage for like I
Yeah.
lived in a garage for 5 years until we moved to Maywood and then Downey when I was like 18. So we've been there for a while, you know, for like 13 years.
Oh, you're
now.
from down here.
But you know, I'm very much more involved in the grand scheme of politics, I guess, because I've never I've been lucky enough not to be affected by local politics, and so I guess I'm a person that hasn't had to concern themselves with that. In Maywood, yeah, I've been in some sketchy situations where I've had to ask the city to do something, or even like deal with shootings as I'm like walking to my
Oh.
house and stuff. So
I've worked in Maywood. I have
Maywood
a
is-
great story. Well,
yeah.
It's an armpit.
Maywood has its own interesting cases.
Yeah,
too, 'cause,
it's-
You know, that's the-
it's plagued with corruption, just like Bell too, to some
Huntington
extent.
Park.
So I
the
was around
very
that area.
first time I went to a city council
Mm-hmm.
where it was hosted 100% in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
where they had to have translation in
Yeah.
English, was in Maywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
It's a beautiful city.
It's
It
It's
really
only
is.
known for
Such a
the King
cute
Taco,
city.
huh?
Oh, I will always rep the Maywood King Taco. We're the only King Taco with wet burritos, and they are the best thing on the menu.
And the
I don't
infestation
know.
as well.
Hey, chill.
Hey, chill.
I just learned about my council district and like all that stuff. Like this past 2 years has been nothing but like learning stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like I know my council district.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Council District 9. With
And you guys are
Curran.
going through an election right
Yeah,
now.
we are.
Yeah.
So are
and
you
then
following that election?
Huh?
You're following your election?
Yeah, I've met with them all actually.
Good.
Who you
So,
going with, though?
I'm not gonna say who my vote. I'm not gonna say who my vote for, but yeah. So that's interesting to know that local elections exist and they are the reason. I mean, that's the biggest impact that we get
Yeah, it is. More direct.
locally than presidential elections. So shit like that. I
Yeah, I'm
just
glad
learned
you're
recently.
following. Yeah.
All right, being a
A
leader
lot of
to the
love for Southeast
community.
cities.
Yeah.
Okay, last question before we go out. Should the 818 rep LA? Because a lot of them be like, oh, I'm not from LA, I'm from the Valley. But in your words, should the 818 embrace, yeah, we're from LA as well?
Of course we're from LA.
There you go.
Oh, we know. I mean, we're a big Dodger fan constituency.
Yeah.
You know, we know that it's LAPD that we call when
Yeah.
we're feeling unsafe. We're well aware that it's the Department of Water and Power that makes our lights go on and our water faucets work.
Hey, 818.
Yes.
us.
So the Valley definitely knows that it's part of the city of Los Angeles. But, we also know that we're very much a part of LA County.
Yeah.
Because we have a very close affliction to Palmdale and Lancaster, the Antelope Valley, and Santa Clarita.
So the cousins that you don't like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm down Lancaster. Hey, stay over there. Don't come to the family outing outings.
Oh, no. I got mad love for my Palmdale primos.
This guy.
Well,
Mad
a lot of the 818 they head over there, huh? A lot of them do
Oh,
live.
big
I have
time.
a lot of friends that I know from Pacoima, and most 9 out of 10 they're all already in the Palmdale, Lancaster area.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of comedian George Perez.
George Perez.
And when George Perez was in Palmdale,
Yeah.
like I went to, my sister and my brother and I went to go watch him, and you could tell that like him and his team felt like fish out of water.
Yeah.
Whereas like me and my sister were like, all right, let's go here. All right, let's go there. Like it was like just being in another neighborhood that we knew very well. Yeah. But it was
Shout out
kind of
Palmdale.
fun.
Yeah, shout out Palmdale and Lancaster. I know
Best
they
place
get
to
a-
eat in the 818.
Oh man.
What's your first
Well,
spot?
in Sun Valley, where I'm from, it's Chihuacle. It's was once upon a time known as Rocío Mole de los Dioses. It's so nice to be able to get like authentic gourmet moles, gourmet enchiladas, and Latino fusion sushi in Sun Valley. But chances are, you probably, if you ever went to go eat fancy in the East San Fernando Valley, I mean, you probably went to Casa Torres, the famous Silmar Casa
Is the
Torres.
Raiders at 818 or no?
Which one?
Raiders?
Rated, I think is
Where's that at?
Granada Hills,
Okay,
Senor
so-
Sushi.
so it's
Shout out to
not-
Senor Sushi, and when they
Okay, so
That's
shout out
another good one.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Shout out to
I've been
Operator.
there many
Yeah.
times. Met them with very good amount of times.
yes,
Yeah,
family-owned business. Shout out to them.
yeah, they're great too.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, we also have a lot of like old school. Like we have Nats. You know, we also have a lot of Jewish delis out in the San Fernando Valley. A lot of good restaurants out there.
Jewish delis. I gotta try those.
So many, especially in the like Ventura area, Ventura Street, Ventura Boulevard. So there's a lot to do out there.
Yeah. I never go to the valley. You guys go to the valley?
I haven't been there. In,
It's just like that 405 scares me. Like
yeah.
it's like the other side of the world.
No, go check out the communities. They're off of the 170.
Yeah, for
North
sure.
Hollywood,
Okay,
Sun
we're off the
Valley,
170.
Pacoima.
Kendrick indoctrinated us. You know, we don't go past the 10.
We don't go past the 10. Yeah.
No, like I don't blame you. I mean, I went to Cal State Northridge for my my master's.
Yeah.
And there was people that were like, I don't go past Mulholland.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're comfortable with our communities, but at the end of the day, I think folks that are not from LA County don't understand that, like, we know we're LA County, but we are also very attached to our
The communities.
our regions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Our
Regions,
regions and our
yeah.
communities. But you know, if I really want to go out to Pomona, I will. If I want to go to the west side, I will. If I want to go to Long Beach or San Pedro, I will. And I still feel like I'm home.
Yeah. I feel like more LA people should
Explore outside.
explore to the valley because a lot of them don't. A lot of them, people out for the most part, everybody just has ease and like, oh, it's a lot of dope shit over there. Me, because I have a lot of friends in Pacoima and 818, so I'm always like, yo, that's a whole world over there too. They don't even look at it like that. They just go either Riverside, everybody just goes east.
I think once a person goes to like a backyard barbecue in the San Fernando Valley in the summer and they see that it's 9 p.m. and it's 85 degrees, you want to go back
yeah,
because
sure.
it's beautiful weather.
You gotta love LA. weather.
Late at night, and you're like, oh, this is what it means to have like LA weather
Yeah.
up into the night. So yeah, find a friend in the valley.
Find a friend in the valley. That's true.
Tell them to invite you to a barbecue in the summer, 9 p.m.
You got to bump little
9
Rob.
p.m. is like 100 degrees in the valley in the summer.
You gotta
Yeah, it really
bump
is.
Summer nights, little Rob.
Summer nights, little rock. Cruising down Van Nuys, babe. But I appreciate you pulling up.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We created a platform like this because we're storytellers, so it's just perfect. We want to get all types of people here that represent our community, primarily the Latino community. So thank you for pulling up. I hope you had your great experience. I hope we didn't like ruin your
Yeah, I
chance
mean,
to
you guys have
re-election.
Lauryn Hill. I know.
Oh, Lauryn Hill.
I know all the lyrics to that entire album.
Oh, we're the
Oh,
same
nice.
age for sure.
Yeah.
And another thing though, before we let you go, we
Yes,
do
go for
have
it. Go
a,
for it.
a
Shoo!
new little candle business going on, and we called it La
Yes.
Candelita. And we actually want
I
to give
love
this to you.
candles.
Yes, go
We
for
want
it.
to give this to you. Just it's the name to this candle is called Raíz Dorada, right? It's stemming from your roots, right?
Yes.
Just kind of going based off that. And since you are, Mexican, I do feel like you're gonna appreciate this candle. It's
Yes.
kind of like a strength flame. It's supposed to give you some clarity of mind and the ability just to keep on going. I know you have a pretty tough task, right, to deal with a big city. So hopefully that right there can kind of ease up the situations when you're getting those mean calls about, hey, having to clean up these streets or these encampments. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. This one here
Yeah, I
is
appreciate it.
it's a saffron scent,
Saffron.
and it's got that little citrus scent note to it as well. So I think you're really gonna enjoy it.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I love candles.
Yes.
It's like the
I
best
love
gift to give
candles.
me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hope you enjoy
Yeah,
it.
no, it is. Shout out to David creating a company out of Boyle Heights.
Yeah.
And him and his boys, they make it at home. They package it well. They took a lot of time to perfect their formulas, but shout out to you for
Thank you,
sure.
thank you. So,
Make sure you
once
shop at La
again, I hope you enjoy
Candelita,
it.
lacandelita.co.
appreciate it.
And any last words you want to? Where can we find you? Where can we reach out to you?
Yeah, I will. To find out exactly what I'm up to, the best place to follow is on my social media handles. It's CD6 Los Angeles. We have community cleanups coming on. We have a mental health fair coming. We have movie nights coming. But also, if you just kind of have a question related to like how you want to get involved in your own backyard, we love to mentor and tell folks, like, oh, so you're from Southeast Cities. Oh, so you're from unincorporated. East LA.
It sounds bad,
Que se
unincorporated.
pone
What does that
high,
mean?
East LA, right? Like, oh, you have an election going on? That's cool. Like we're all about it. So reach out. That's what we're here for.
I appreciate it. Make sure you follow South Central Clips, Brandmore, La Candelita.co, and Prime God 87. And catch you guys next time. And we are out.
God bless.